So listen up. Life isn't waiting around for you to make up your mind, and neither should you. Every single day brings a fork in the road, a crucial moment when you decide whether to push forward or stay exactly where you are. Too many people drift through life, hoping for some magical shift, wishing for that perfect time, or for someone else to hand them a golden invitation to greatness. Let me tell you now, nobody's coming to save you. If you want real change, you have to be the one to stand up and make it happen. Today, I'm going to talk about what it takes to move past every limit you've placed on yourself. If you're tired of living in a loop, if you're sick of repeating the same excuses, let's break it all down right here, right now. Every morning, you wake up at a crossroads. It could be a simple choice, get up on time or hit snooze again, but beneath that small action lie bigger implications. Are you going to sabotage your day before it begins, or are you going to seize each moment, each hour, each challenge? That's what life is, an accumulation of small daily decisions that either keep you stuck or propel you forward. Comfort can be a seductive trap, whispering to you that tomorrow's a better day to start. But tomorrow is a sly thief of opportunity. The problem is, when tomorrow arrives, it comes wrapped in a brand new excuse. If you keep waiting for later, you'll watch the days slip away, turning into weeks, months, years, until you're left with regrets and questions about where the time went. Let's talk about action, that key ingredient that sets everything else in motion. You can have all the knowledge in the world, mountains of talent, or the best ideas, but if you never act, none of that matters. Action is what turns potential into progress. You might think you need to read one more book or wait until you perfect your plan. That's a trap. Perfection is a mirage, and waiting for it is a recipe for inaction. Instead, understand that results come from movement. Even flawed, stumbling steps can outdo the grandest plans left gathering dust in your head. The beauty of starting is that you create momentum. Momentum doesn't show up when you're sitting on the couch thinking about your goals. Momentum appears the second you take a step, any step, toward those goals. Within each of us is a force we seldom utilize, that raw willpower that compels us to do what we'd rather avoid. Think about all the times you faced a project or conversation you dreaded. How easy it was to push it off for another day. How quickly days turned into weeks. The difference between people who accomplish their dreams and those who don't often lies in how quickly they take action, how willing they are to force themselves to move even when they'd prefer to remain comfortable. That's the essence of self-discipline, the ability to drive yourself forward despite temptation, fatigue, or fear. It's the unglamorous hero behind every triumphant story you've ever heard. People like to praise talent or luck, but the truth is, discipline is what holds everything together when motivation fades and obstacles appear. Self-discipline is about choosing delayed gratification over immediate pleasure. It's about understanding that the painful workout you endure now pays off later in strength, vitality, confidence. It's about recognizing that staying up late to do the necessary work might cost you some sleep, but it buys you progress that sleep alone could never provide. If you think of discipline as a harsh, restrictive framework, flip that script. Discipline is actually the path to freedom. Freedom from regrets, freedom from self-doubt, freedom from that lingering feeling that you're wasting your potential. Every time you hold yourself accountable, every time you power through discomfort, you add another layer of confidence to your identity, telling yourself you're someone who follows through, who pushes boundaries, who refuses to let fleeting impulses sabotage long-term aspirations. But let's not pretend it's easy. You can't cultivate self-discipline in a single day. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. You practice by making small, consistent choices. Instead of snoozing your alarm, you get up. Instead of scrolling through social media for an hour, you turn it off after 5 minutes. Each time you obey your goals, rather than your impulses, you reinforce a habit of self-control. Each time you succeed, you're training your mind to see yourself as someone who can do difficult things. That identity shift then helps you tackle bigger, more daunting tasks. Conversely, every time you break a commitment to yourself, you weaken that muscle, giving power to procrastination, laziness, and excuses. Now let's tackle procrastination and laziness head-on. Procrastination is a silent thief. stealing away your time in tiny increments until suddenly entire weeks or months have evaporated with nothing to show for them. Laziness lulls you into thinking tomorrow is a better day to begin, or that you've earned some unproductive downtime. The result? Stagnation. Goals remain wishes, undone tasks pile up, and your dreams fade behind a fog of wasted potential. Yet, the moment you take one bold step, one small chunk of action, you begin to shatter that cycle. It might feel like pushing a boulder uphill at first, but once it starts rolling, momentum builds. The next task gets easier. The shift from zero action to some action is more crucial than from some action to a lot of action. Because once you start, you're no longer paralyzed, you're moving. One of the biggest triggers for procrastination is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, even fear of success can freeze you. Confront that fear by treating every risk as a lesson. If you fail, so what? That's an opportunity to gather information, to understand what went wrong, to pivot, and to grow stronger. People who succeed consistently are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, learn, adapt, and go again. If you reject failure altogether, you reject progress. Laziness also thrives when your why isn't strong enough. If your goals don't inspire or scare you a little, if they don't stir your soul, you'll find it easy to lounge around rather than put in effort. The solution is to identify compelling reasons behind your actions, goals that resonate with your deepest values. When your goals become a calling rather than a casual want, it's harder to stay idle. Habits come into play here. Think of habits as the daily building blocks that either construct the life you want or chip away at it. They might seem insignificant in the moment, like spending an extra 10 minutes reading something useful or reorganizing your workspace for better efficiency. But these small patterns accumulate, shaping your destiny in slow motion. You need to examine which habits serve your ambitions and which sabotage them. If the first thing you do each morning is aimlessly scroll on your phone, that sets a passive tone for the day, letting outside inputs hijack your attention. If you replace that habit with a morning routine, perhaps a brief workout, some reading or journaling about your priorities, you begin the day with a proactive stance. Habits can be formed or broken through repetition. Make the new habit as straightforward as possible, removing friction that might tempt you to skip it. If you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand or download it onto your phone. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Every small environmental tweak can bolster your chances of sticking to the habit. Challenges will inevitably arise no matter how disciplined or how well you shape your environment. Life is unpredictable, throwing curveballs in your path. Unexpected expenses, conflicts, health issues, or emotional ups and downs. Rather than cursing these challenges, use them as proof that you're on a real journey. If there were no obstacles, there'd be no triumph. In every challenge, ask, what can I learn? Instead of why me, ask, why not me? People who conquer adversity typically see it as part of the process, not a sign to quit. They understand growth emerges under pressure, the same way muscles develop under strain. If everything were easy, you'd never need to become better than you are right now. Now consider the concept of reclaiming your power. Too many folks allow external forces, family expectations, social pressures, negative peers to dictate their choices. They become spectators in their own lives, living by default. Reclaiming your power means asserting agency over every decision, big or small. It means no longer blaming your job, your upbringing, or the economy for your situation. Instead, you look in the mirror and accept full responsibility for what you do next. It's a scary step because it removes your excuses, but it's also liberating because it places your destiny squarely in your hands. If you keep letting your environment or other people's opinions define your boundaries, you may never test the full scope of your abilities. Real independence arrives when you trust yourself enough to chart your own course, even if others scoff or question you. People might resent your choices or think you're taking unnecessary risks. So what? It's your life. You might wonder, should I tell people about my big plans or keep them private? Broadcasting your every move can drain the excitement and invite criticism before you've had a chance to prove yourself. Talk is cheap. Results speak volumes. Silence can protect your goals from the negativity or undue pressure that others might bring. It can also keep you from seeking premature validation or letting praise trick you into feeling like you've accomplished something when you haven't. Let your actions do the talking. Let your successes roar. If you crave outside validation for every small step, you risk losing the internal fire that should be fueling your progress. When you finally unveil the finished product or stand triumphant on the summit, it'll be clear to everyone what you've been up to, and your results will be far more impressive than any hype you might have generated by talking too soon. Living authentically is another piece that can't be overlooked. If you try to conform to others' expectations, you lose the spark that makes your journey compelling. Authenticity means deciding what you value, what your dream is, and how you plan to get there, regardless of whether it fits someone else's narrative. That might mean not following the standard, safe path or quitting something that doesn't serve you anymore. People pleasers often end up frustrated and unhappy because living for someone else's approval is a never-ending treadmill. Authentic people sometimes face criticism, but ironically, they earn deeper respect and find genuine alliances with those who appreciate them for who they are. Don't let fear of rejection sabotage your quest to live on your own terms. Some will judge you no matter what, so you might as well be true to yourself. Leading by example is often how you can inspire others without even trying to. People watch what you do more than they listen to what you say. If you claim discipline is the path to success but laze around all day, that message is lost. If you proclaim big dreams but never act, your words ring hollow. But if they see you consistently putting in the work day after day, pushing through fatigue, rising from failures, they witness something genuine. That silent demonstration of perseverance can spark admiration and motivation in others. You become the proof that consistent effort yields tangible results, and that is far more moving than any abstract pep talk. Hardship and adversity? They're unavoidable. But again, adversity is the crucible where real fortitude is forged. Anybody can keep going when the sun is shining and the wind is at their back. It's those dreary days, those storms, those moments when everything seems against you. Those are the times that sculpt your will. If you run from pain or difficulty, you remain in the shallow end, never experiencing the deeper waters of growth. Embrace adversity as an essential piece of the puzzle. Instead of asking for fewer challenges, ask for greater resilience. Because guess what? The bigger your goals, the more adversity you'll face. You want an extraordinary life? Expect extraordinary trials. But the payoff is a sense of personal power, a knowledge that you can stand in the eye of the storm and remain unshaken. Finally, everything comes back to the idea that you must do something about all these words. It's easy to read or listen to motivational material, get fired up for a moment, and then fall back into old routines. If that's what you choose, your life will reflect it. Moments of excitement overshadowed by years of inertia. Or you can let this message be the spark that sets your transformation ablaze. The difference is whether you'll take immediate action. That might mean scheduling time for that project you've neglected, or walking into that gym you've avoided, or making a phone call you've dreaded. However small or large, the significance is that you're acting now. Once you taste a little progress, you'll wonder why you waited so long. Momentum is an amazing booster. The first step is the hardest, but subsequent steps often feel more natural. Then, it becomes a cycle. Action fuels self-belief, which fuels more action, which creates more results, which further boosts belief. This is how people rise from mediocrity to greatness in what seems like no time at all. Yet, behind that overnight success usually lie countless days of disciplined actions, none of which were glamorous, but all of which built the unstoppable momentum you finally get to see. Think about how your life might look a year from now if you commit to forging forward every day, even if just a little. Picture the habits you'd have formed, the progress you'd have made, and the personal strength you'd have developed. Compare that to how your life would look if you stayed on your current trajectory, letting each day pass in a swirl of excuses. Which scenario excites you more? Which scenario leaves you proud of who you are becoming? Time is finite. You don't get to bargain for extra days when the clock runs out. Let that light a fire under you. Not as an anxiety-inducing pressure, but as a motivating force that says, I must make every day count. The future you want is at stake with every decision you make. That's not an overstatement, it's the reality of how small actions accumulate. If you want something better, then treat today as a precious resource to be maximized, not wasted. We've covered discipline, procrastination, habits, adversity, authenticity, and reclaiming your power. All these concepts intersect in one place: your daily life. The biggest leaps in your journey often come from consistent application of these truths in the mundane moments, when it's 6 a.m. and your alarm goes off, or when it's midnight and you're tempted to binge on social media, or when you're anxious about a new opportunity but leaning toward saying no because it feels scary. In each of these moments, remember the bigger picture. Remember the reasons you decided to embark on this quest for a better life. Remember that every time you override a short-term whim to feed a long-term ambition, you strengthen the very foundation on which your success will stand. If you forget everything else, hold on to this. Success is less about some grand event and more about who you become through the daily grind. It's about living with purpose, pushing boundaries, and refusing to accept mediocrity. And guess what? You already have everything needed to start. All the courage, all the discipline, all the resilience. It's there, just waiting to be awakened. The greatest tragedy would be to let it slumber forever. So let today mark the turning point. Commit to taking at least one tangible action. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't wait for better weather, a better mood, or someone's encouragement. Seize the second you finish reading these words. Make a plan for what you'll do in the next hour to bring you closer to your goals. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's writing a single paragraph of that book you wanted to start. Maybe it's stepping outside for a short run. The specifics don't matter as much as the fact that you're doing something. Because once you do, you've begun. Once you've begun, you're no longer stuck in that limbo of indecision. Remember, you're not alone in this. Many have walked similar paths, battled similar demons of procrastination, and come out victorious. Their stories prove it's possible. Now it's your turn to craft a story that someone else might one day look at for inspiration. That's how life-affirming action can be. It doesn't just transform your circumstances, it can also ripple out and ignite others who see your bravery and resolve. Lastly, let's talk about the simple joy of this process. Growth can be painful, but it's also exhilarating. There's an unmistakable rush when you conquer a fear or push through a tough challenge. That rush is a reminder that you're alive, evolving, stepping into the larger possibilities life has to offer. So celebrate each step, even the awkward or messy ones. Every step forward is a testament to your willingness to break free from old shackles and chase something bigger. That in itself is worth celebrating. Now it's time to close these words and open the next chapter of your life through tangible, decisive action. If you find yourself hesitating, that's all the more reason to start now. Because when you realize that your best life is on the other side of hesitation, you'll understand that you can't afford to wait. The clock's ticking, your goals are waiting, and the only one who can bridge that gap is you. So, gather your courage, tighten your focus, and begin. The path won't always be smooth, but it'll be yours, carved out by your will, your discipline, your refusal to settle. That's what living truly means. Not drifting or daydreaming, but shaping your destiny one move at a time. The door is wide open now. Step through and create the future you know you deserve.